Hey guys, welcome to Ask Pharmacist Tish. Thank y'all for coming back. Yay! And I have another amazing guest today. Today we are with the What's Your Story segment. We are in live time exploring how people have gone through so many things like homelessness, childhood traumas, just life, whatever life brings, and how they became resilient in the middle of it. Because we all go through things in life. And to me, it just amazes me how people just come through and still live life. So today we have a very special guest again. We have Miss Lawana. So please welcome Miss Lawana. Get her on the replay. There we go. Hey, Miss Lawana. Hi. I appreciate you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
All right. So I appreciate you coming on. I discovered you from doing some research, and I've seen that you went through a lot in the last couple of years. As of recent, with I was researching about like the fentanyl and the opioids and how people are just dying, and it was I saw that they're representing African Americans in the opioid epidemic. Hello, Miss Pamela, how you doing? But so that's how I ran across you, and then your story just became much more full, and I appreciate you speaking with me. So how are you doing? You doing great?
Yes,
I'm
I'm
listen,
well.
y'all. Listen, y'all. Well, never mind. I was gonna say something, but I promise I wouldn't have said it. So
Mm.
anyway, so where are you located and all that good stuff, and tell us a little brief about you.
Well, I'm originally from Stockton, California. I live in
Hmm.
Sacramento. Right now I'm on vacation. Um, I have six kids, five boys, one girl, and a grandbaby.
Okay.
And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so we're both, you know, younger women, so to speak,
Yes.
same age
Yes.
group. But what? So how we're going to start from the beginning, and like I said, I met her from doing some research. I saw her in the Washington Post, so that's a very popular news column, and to see her there, it just resonated with me because she was brave enough to tell her story. So we're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna start from your childhood and we're gonna work it all the way to where you are today and how you became resilient in the process. So how was your childhood? Like where did you grow up and all that good stuff?
I grew up in Stockton, California.
Mhm.
I had to grow up at the age of 9. My mom had my first brother when I was 9 years old, so there's a
Mhm.
9 year difference between us. I went to school. I came back. I took care of him. I had to, cook, clean, do homework, get him ready for bed, get myself ready for bed to start it all over again. So at the age of 9, I was like a mini adult.
Really? So when
Mm.
I was 9 years old, I don't know what I was doing, but it was nothing of note. But at 9 years old, you were already cooking, cleaning, and taking care of a newborn baby.
Yes.
And how did that come about? Like your mom was working a lot, or what was going on with that?
Yeah, she was working, trying to make ends meet for us, keep a roof over our heads. So, and plus I was before I turned 9, I was always asking her for a sibling. I always wanted a
Mhm.
sister or a brother. So, she finally
Yeah.
gave it to me after 9 years old. So
Oh,
he was
okay.
my baby.
Oh, so you were
Yeah.
9 years old and you claiming you had your own baby. That was your baby
Yes.
doll. All
Yes.
right. So how was that? Like, did you get to go outside and play, or like was that really like you really was the woman of the house, or and like how many of y'all in the chat? Whoever we have a few people in the audience. So thank you, Pam, for coming back. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Teacher Chronicles, for coming back as well. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, but how was that? I mean, did you miss out on your childhood? Did you get to go outside and play? Or how did that work out? Like how many of y'all went through that being young?
Well, no, I wasn't able to go outside and play unless it was the weekend because that's when my mother was off.
Mhm.
But when I did go outside, I always took my brother with me. So he
Oh.
was always constantly with me. So, and I didn't have a problem with that.
Okay, that's so sweet. That's really
Yeah.
sweet, actually. So, how were your teenage years?
Ooh, my teenage years were rough. Now, it was rough. 2 years later, after my mom had my first brother, she
Mhm.
had another brother, which, I took care of him as well.
Mhm.
Um, Unfortunately, I was molested at the age of 6 to 9.
Okay.
And so when I became a teenager, the gentleman was moved. He was led back in the house. And that's when I ran away from home,
Okay.
because I felt like, if my mom is moving this man back in the house, um, if she doesn't love me, I felt like if she didn't care about me, no one cared. So that's when
Yeah.
my teenage years, that's when I became rebellious and running away and doing
Mhm.
things that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Right. So, who do you mind asking who molested you?
It was the gentleman that molested me was my first brother's dad.
Okay, so no, not a blood relative, but someone that was very a blood relative to your brother.
Yes.
And so did you talk to your mom? So you were 60 years old when it started. So as a 6-year-old child, a little girl, did you talk to your mom about it, or was it a secret, or how did that go?
It was a secret. Me and my mom was really close. And
Mhm.
he had instilled in me that if I told my mom that she wasn't gonna love me no more, she was gonna leave me, she was gonna put me out. And I didn't want
Mhm.
that. I'm a 6-year-old kid at the time.
Right.
So it happened for 3 years. And
And
I
so your
remember
mom didn't have a clue or anything
no,
because she was
not
always
that I
work. She was always working.
well, at that time, no, she wasn't. He was working, but she was there.
Mhm.
Um, but he I feel like as a mother now, I feel that my mother should have known something was going on, because I started isolating myself in my room.
Okay.
I would never come out unless it was time to eat dinner. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe she didn't know, but I feel like she should have known.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me see. Hey, Las Vegas, and thank you for being here. So when did you ever tell your mom before you
Yes.
became a teenager? How were you approximately when you did tell?
I was 9 years old.
Mhm.
I was in, well, I was asleep in my bed. I had two beds in my room. I had a water bed and a regular bed. And my cousin was staying the night with me. And he came in the room and he did what he did. And um, in the house that we lived in, it was like as soon as you step in the kitchen, you heard it creaks. And it doesn't matter where you went or where
Yeah.
you stepped, you heard it. And so at the time when he was doing what he was doing, I was looking towards the door. And you know how, like, if your daughter's in your room or something and you're outside and you leaning in, it's just
Mhm.
your head. That's what I saw. But it was moments later to after that I heard that creak, and then he jumped up, wrapped a towel around him, and walked out. And I heard my mom say, "What are you doing in my daughter's room?" And he's like, "Oh, I heard her having a dream, so I wanted to check on her."
Mhm.
And so the next day, she said she asked me, what was he doing? And I said nothing, because I'm still remembering what he told
Right.
me. If you
Exactly.
tell your mom, she's gonna leave you. She's not gonna love you. So I was like, nothing. This happened for a whole week, and then one day she was just like, I'm gonna love you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to protect you. If he
Okay.
did something, just let me know. And I never said yes. I just started crying. So that's how she found out that
Okay.
what he did.
Okay. And so what happened after that? Did she get him out the home, or how did things progress from that omission? I mean
Yes,
admission.
she went to the police. We went to the police department. We went to trial, went to court and everything.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. In the meantime, while he was, doing that to me, he was always abusive to my mom as well. Like at least once a week out of the 3 years, he was beating my mom. So
Okay.
we went to court. I testified,
Mhm.
and he went to prison for 4 years.
Okay, so your mom did the right thing at that point in time. He was prosecuted, and then he was also abused, this causing wreaking havoc in the household, in
Yes.
general. Okay, so but you still had issues in your teenage years. So after 4 years, you said what happened?
My mom took him back. She moved him back in the house.
So she knew for a fact he was prosecuted to the extent of the law, and and so how did you find out he was coming back into the home?
I didn't know until he was actually there.
She didn't give you no heads up.
No.
What was that moment like seeing him?
I was frightened. I was scared. I was confused because, as a mother now, it's like, how could you do that? And so I had that mind frame like, oh well shoot, my mom doesn't care about me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna run away. And that's what I did.
Okay. And how long did you go away for?
I was gone a little less than a year.
So how old were you when you ran away?
13.
At 13. So you were gone from that moment you left and you were gone for almost a whole year. Did you know they were looking for you? Or what were you doing for a whole year? Basically, you were homeless. Or did you go to your grandmother's or I mean, where would you go at 13 years old?
I actually went to her best friend house.
Really?
Yes,
Okay,
I
well
went to
thank
her
God
best
for
friend.
some support. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, I went to her best friend house and I would call her, sporadically just to see how my brothers were doing.
Yeah, because those were your babies.
Yes. And she was like, I know where you are. I know where you are. And every time we get a knock on the door, I will hide, but come to find out she didn't know. And how she did find out is that as another lady living with her friend,
Mhm.
and she had my jacket on and she went to work and the police had hemmed her up, thinking that she was me.
Mhm.
And so she called me crying, and so I just turned myself in from that point.
Wow. And so you went back home.
I went to juvenile,
Okay.
and then I went home.
Okay. And was the man who took advantage of you? Was he still at home?
No, no,
Okay. Okay. So that was tolerable at this point. Okay.
correct.
So, but at that point, the damage already been done. The psyche, the trauma. First of all, you already went through trauma, the worst
Yes,
kind of trauma as a your innocence stripped. Your whole mindset just rewired because you're traumatized, and then the woman who brought you into this world, protected you, now has protected someone else. The damage has been done, the foundation has been laid. So how did that manifest in your teenage years?
ooh, I just, I don't know. I guess I was just, oh, it's hard to put in words. I was just very protective,
Hmm.
of everybody that was around me. I didn't trust anyone for a long time, for a long
Right.
period of time.
If
Um,
you can't trust your mother, who can you trust
yeah, at the
on
age
this
of
earth?
18,
Yeah.
at the age of 18, the gentleman that did what he did, he came to the house looking to see my mom and his son, and he said, "Well, you're of age now, so what's up?" That really confused me. I just slammed the door in his face and I told my mom, and she was just like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, I just didn't understand what he did and why he did what he did because he had my mom."
Right. And he still had to be in your lives technically because he was the father of your brother.
Yes.
I'm
But
so
every time she seen him, I was gone. Um,
right. So to
but
double down on the trauma and that what he did to you, he's gonna throw it back in your face and like you actually liked it.
right,
Like what like in his twisted mind, he wanted to take you down that road and start beating on you and just keep going through the cycle. And then you have a daughter, and this he just was willing to do this generational curse.
right. But you know what? He got his because when I got married to my first husband,
Mhm.
I had moved to Washington and I had a police officer come and subpoena me to come and testify.
Mhm.
And I was like, testify for what? And they said his name, and I said, So come to find out, he did the same thing to another little girl, and he was beating
Mhm.
her mom. And I went and testified. And what put him away
What's
is
that?
that the jury read
Mhm.
my transcript from when I was 9 years old,
Mhm.
and they asked me all the questions that they asked me at 9 years old, and I said exactly the same thing to the T.
Right.
And that's what sent him away.
Wow. So you helped this other your little girl out, basically.
Yes,
How long did he go away for?
he's still in, and this
Great.
was back in 90. Yeah,
We needed a good story after all that. Thank
yes,
God. Thank God. And thank
yes,
God for your bravery for being able to, overcome that and to testify. Because a lot of times when you go through such traumatic events, you tend to withdraw and you don't want to relive it. And so you tend to not want to be involved in
mm,
such, cases and stuff anymore. But you pushed forward for this little girl and
yes,
for other little girls. So I commend you so much for doing that.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so how were the teenage years though? Like, did you get into drugs? Did you have a drinking? I mean, like you can't go through all of that. You can't have your mother go, say have the man come back to the house and be normal. Something had
Yeah.
to give. So how did it show itself in usually the
No,
teenage years? Hmm.
what I did, I didn't sleep around. I wasn't on drugs or anything, but I sold drugs. I started selling drugs.
Really?
And I know that was the bad thing about it. But um, after I ran away, and then I turned myself in and went home, I stopped all that. But then I got into fighting. I was fighting. If it wasn't every day, it was every other day or every 2 days. Because I
Mhm.
had just had so much anger in me, you know.
Mhm.
I just felt like my mom didn't really give me an answer to why she did what she did, you know? So I just had a lot of built up anger. So I
Did
got
you ever
into a
ask her? Did you ever ask her, "Mom, why did you how could you?"
I
Did you ask?
did. And her response was, um, I tried the best that I could.
Okay.
Yeah. And that still didn't say, well, God forbid, my mom is passed, I
Yeah.
love you, but it still hurts to this day.
Yeah, because you said that you could have at least gotten an apology. Did you ever get an apology?
No.
Yeah. That's and that would have done it for you. That would have at least, made things somewhat bearable.
Yes.
You could start to digest it, start to heal.
Yes.
All right. So I want to go into before we, I'll go through the life, but I want to know how did you heal without that apology? Because a lot of people they can't forgive, they can't move on, and they stay stagnant. Um, but you made it. You say you didn't sleep around, which let's back up to that.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
that's a big deal.
Yes.
Especially after everything you've gone through and all the freedom you had. Like you say, you was a 13-year-old girl. How did you avoid not getting scooped up and being sex trafficked, and all this, craziness that could have happened? How did you, take care of yourself?
I believe it's just because I can only protect myself at that time.
Mhm.
I knew how to fight at that time. I
Mhm.
knew, so it was like, okay, no, you can't come too close to me. I was scared. And when they say you scared, you just, do all kind of stuff. So I didn't want that to make me do the bad things, turn to
Okay.
drugs or turn to prostitution,
Right.
So yeah, I just did what I had to do to make sure that I survived.
Right. And you did it. Yeah, that's amazing. So let's fast forward. So I found you from the Washington Post. So you went through all this stuff in the early years, and I guess there was a period of time where you had some peace, you had children. So, how were your relationships? How did you relate to men? How did you relate to having children and being a mother yourself? Did it make you a better mother, a better wife, or did you fall into some of the old pitfalls that you saw your mom and things you swore you would never do? Or how did that shape you as a mother and as a wife?
Well, I believe just, raising my brothers at a young age, I already knew how to become a mother.
Okay.
And, I love my mom and everything, but, some of the things that I've witnessed growing up, I just knew what not to do
Okay.
as a woman, as a mother. So it was nice, having kids and, having a husband at the time,
Mhm.
to be there in the
Right.
home with the kids. But then that became too much,
What do you mean?
so
What do you mean too much?
I lost myself. I lost Luana. I couldn't have braids. I couldn't have certain color
Hold on,
hair.
back up, back up. So, what do you mean you couldn't have braids and you couldn't have certain color hair? Like, who's telling you this? You like
My ex,
society?
my ex-husband.
Oh, so you got into, so you were in a domestic violence situation, you're saying, or he just didn't like you with braids and certain, controlling basically.
It was domestic violence, but he also was in the military, so he just didn't like braids. He didn't like certain colors. He didn't want me to be a certain size.
Mhm.
And I had all his kids, at that point. So of course I'm gonna gain some weight.
Right.
However, I can't go around that, but that became a big problem. When I lost Luana,
Mhm.
um, I couldn't take it no more. It was just Mrs. and Mom. That's all it was. I made sure that the house was clean.
Mhm.
I had meals on the table every night, plus working. Like I
Mhm.
was doing my fair share to this man.
Mhm.
So, but I lost Luana in the process.
And when did you realize you lost her and you gonna get her back? When was that? I mean, because a lot of times with trauma and all the things you've gone through, not even wanting to know yourself is an issue with most people. But you still had your identity. But what happened in your marriage or what happened in general, you were like, hold up, I gotta get myself back. I gotta get myself together. I can't be this way. What was that moment?
I got tired of the abuse. I got tired of the emotional abuse,
Okay.
and that's what did it.
All right. And you said something about your twins or something. And what did he say about you with your twins?
Oh yeah, we used to go motorcycle riding, and I had just had the twins, and at the time I didn't know there was a weight limit on motorcycles. However, I said, um, when are we gonna go motorcycle riding again? He said, we'll lose the weight and we can.
Mm. And you just had
Ah,
two of his babies at one time.
yes,
That's a no-no. Wrong sound,
yeah,
but that was a no-no. What
yes,
you don't do is pop out twins and then complain about your wife's weight and
yes,
not treat her nicely on top of that. It was crazy. So at that point, that was enough for you, right? You said
yes, yes,
good. That's good. That's great. So I mean, at all the things, that was it. So that's good. That's good. So how did you? So you got divorced, or how did that play
yes.
itself out? All right. So
I got
you found the strength, honey. Right.
Yes, I filed for the divorce and it was finalized in 2012.
Hmm.
And that's when I started my new life with
Okay.
just my kids at the time. Yes.
Okay. That's amazing. That's great. So you were able to avoid the drugs, the addiction, and everything from the trauma. But unfortunately, you had a brother that wasn't able to. The trauma affected him in his own way. What happened to your brother? Well,
Um,
you had two brothers that died
yes.
within the last 2 years, correct?
Yes.
The babies that you cared for, correct?
Yes.
So what happened to your oldest brother?
He just fell off for whatever reason. I guess he tried it and he liked it. He was in and out of prison, in and out of jail. Um, we had stopped talking because we're the same sign. My birthday is March 2nd, his birthday is March 5th.
Okay.
So we're the same side, but him, I'm not sure. He always wanted to have the last word, and I think it was just because of the drugs. Like
Okay.
he was just doing things and saying things that I felt that he was being very disrespectful. And as I was growing up, my mom had always instilled in me, you do not disrespecting the elders. Now,
Okay.
granted, he was my brother, but I was still his elder. I was the one that was taking care of him. I was the one that was raising him,
Right.
and he just did not respect me. So I
Mm.
had to distance myself from him.
When you mean not respect you, like you and you said more likely it was because of the addiction, because when you have addiction, what was he addicted to again? Like was cocaine or something to that, or just
Cocaine, it was heroin, it was whatever he can get his hands on.
okay. And do you know how old he was when he started going down this road?
I don't, because
Yeah.
for a long time he hid it,
All right.
but then
Yep.
when you start noticing different signs, then that's when you can be like, okay, there's something not right with
Mhm.
but it was in his teen years. It was in his teen years.
Right. So it's just amazing how trauma affect people in different ways. Like you, it made you into the woman you are, where you, like you said, you weren't promiscuous. You commanded respect. You learned all the good things, but unfortunately, a lot of times, a lot of us we don't have that strength, and we just kind of need to escape
Right.
from the hurt and the pain we've gone through. But with him having an addiction, you said he wasn't respecting you, so that because he didn't have insight, his mind wasn't working at the proper capacity. What was
Right.
he doing to disrespect you, where you had to detach yourself from him, which you have to do with someone with addiction?
His mouth was reckless. That's pretty much it. And he'll call me out my names every so often, but it was just his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really reckless. Like there was no filter.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't do it because it was either deal with it and hurt him
Mm-hmm.
or just, love him from a distance. And so
Right.
that's what I chose to do.
Yeah, detachment. You have to, when you have a loved one with addiction, you have to detach, because they'll pull you by the nose and they will run the show and they go run it in the ground. And this is the nature of the beast. So
Yes,
you detaching is to protect your peace, because if you're not at peace, you can't help him get through what he needs to get through. And I like what
absolutely.
Columbus Hill said. He said, so are we to assume your husband, your first husband, had 3% body fat? Ridiculous the way some dudes act. That's a good point. Thank you. and and Columbus on and that's after she had twins. Like if I mean, that's a double blessing, and he's already nagging you about your weight. Like, give me a break. And Vegas Ann says, very true, Columbus. Yeah, so all of us women going to agree with that.
Right.
So yeah, what was the moment you realized that your brother succumbed to his addiction?
When he was just being disrespectful to my mom,
Mm.
he just wasn't. I would say he wasn't respecting himself.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
And
point. Yep.
that's pretty much what it is. And so, to keep my peace and my sanity, and to make sure that I don't go to jail, because like I said, I still have a lot of built up anger in
Right.
me. It's just it's certain levels that I know that I have to take in order to, keep it under wraps. I just, I didn't want to hurt my brother because I love him.
Yeah.
I loved him with all my heart. It was just, it's either, I'm allow you to keep winning by pulling me into your web, and I just refuse to do that.
Yeah. So how did you find out that he passed? Like, were y'all in communication a lot, or was it a typical situation where he was missing for periods of a time, months at a time, or how did that work? How did you find out?
No, I know his last text, he reached out to me and he told me he loved me, and I just did not reply back to him because it was a up and down all the time with me and him. So
Yeah.
I left it alone. Um, I happened to just wanted to give me some rest, and I had turned my phone off,
Mm-hmm.
and then my husband at the time, he he
This
had,
is your second husband. This is your second, not the
yes,
first one, because he's gone. This is the second
yes, he's
husband.
gone, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So he come and wake me up, and he tells me to call my daughter. And so
Okay.
I called my daughter, and she had told me that they had found my brother um, on one of the main streets in Stockton. And so of course me, I get up and I'm in Sacramento at the time, so I get up and I'm driving to him, and at the time I didn't make it in time to see him because they needed somebody to verify who he was.
Mhm.
Um, but that's how I found out that he had passed, and it was actually 10 days after he made 37. He made
Wow.
37 March 5th, and he passed March 15th of 2020.
Wow. And you had to be the one that had to handle the business. Now, at this point, you were also going through a lot with your mother, correct?
Yes, my
And what
mother was sick.
mhm.
Um,
How
I had a
and
pet.
how was she sick?
She had a lot of health issues. A
Mhm.
lot of health issues. She was stage 4 kidney failure.
Mhm.
Um, something to do with her heart.
Mhm.
She had a lot of health
Did
issues.
she have COVID?
She passed the COVID
Mhm.
um May of 2020
Mhm.
when she was in the facility that I had put her in.
Okay, so you went through all of this with your mom, all the hurt, all, but you still loved your mother and honored and respected her. Where when she was sick, you took her in and you took care of her. You made sure you made sure and find a facility that could take care of all of her ailments.
Yes.
What kind of heart do you have to do that? That's a loving heart. I
I
mean, there
bel
there are parents that are in a nursing home, and the parent and the kids don't see them, they don't do nothing with them, and their parents are good, good to them. I mean, no one is perfect, but your mother, you loved her and you honored her. What? How did you dig in deep to have that love to do that? That honor.
they say you only have one mother, so I just wanted to make sure of that, because I know it's gonna be my time one day, and I definitely don't want my kids
Hmm.
to let me fall. If I don't have a place to stay or whatever, if I need the treatment that I need to assist me with that. So I believe do unto others as you want done to you.
Right. So, and your mom ended up passing. This was after your before your brother.
This was after my first brother. My
After your
first brother passed in March of 20, and she passed in May of 20.
Oh, the same year.
Yes.
Okay. How was that? How did you Those are two major, this is your baby and this is your mother.
Yeah, that was really hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. So, but you have joy, you have your children, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are they good?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're good.
Okay. I just had to lighten the mood some because I know sometimes those kids can, woo, they can bring
Yeah.
it to you. Right. And then you had your baby brother, you said, that passed, and then you had your husband, your second husband, that y'all were basically newlyweds. So after your brother passed from, basically part of the opioid epidemic, what happened after that? What was the other major life event?
After that, my mom passed 2020, and then at that time, I was taking care of my husband, my
Mhm.
late husband, because he had cancer. He went into remission for that, and then it came back and it spread to his liver. So not just colon cancer, he had liver cancer. So I was in the process of taking care of him as well. And then he passed January 3rd of 2021, 3 days before his 54th birthday. And
Wow.
his wish was to die at home, to
Mhm.
pass at home, and that's what I gave him.
Okay. And then you said something happened to your baby brother?
Yeah. Oh, well, my auntie, I only had one auntie, and she
Okay.
passed in October of 2021. And then my baby brother, he passed April 20 of 22.
So
They
this just
found him.
happened. Mhm.
Yeah, they found him. He had roommates, and I've never known of any roommates that can have somebody in their house and not see a person. for a day or
Mhm.
two, but they found my brother 2 days later in his bed. He had passed. His body had already started decomposing.
Mm. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry. We'll take a break. We'll take a break from it. I'm sorry. You okay? I mean, I know this is hard, but and you're not taking any therapy, so I know this is hurtful, but it's good to release because you have a lot inside of you. You have a lot, and you are so strong, though. You are so strong. How do you stay so strong? I mean, because like I talked to you before, I was like, you only one woman, and you have gone through so much. How do you stay so resilient through
You know,
that? Your children help you out, or your grandbaby, or I mean, just finding Lawana, that baseline Lawana.
um,
All
you
that,
know,
all us girls with the Letitia. My name is Letitia. Your name is Lawana. We some tough cookies now.
yeah, I hear that all the time, and
Mhm.
that I don't feel that I'm strong. I just feel like
What?
it's something that I have to do. I don't feel it because, is there's times where I'm crying all the time.
Mhm.
I don't feel strong. I just know that if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And then my twins, they have a disability, so I have to be there for them.
Right. Oh, so you have twins with a disability.
Yes.
Okay, so no, you're I mean, you're doing what you have to do. I get it, but trust me, you're very, very resilient. I mean, so just keep that strength up. So wherever you getting that source from, you keep it up because this is not, you're going, like I said before, a Job moment in your life where everything is just being pruned down, taken away to be built back up. How do you keep hope when you've gone through so? I mean, that you lost your husband. Y'all only married, what you said, like 4 years or something to that effect. You
Well,
know,
we were together for 8 years, but we were married for a year and a half.
Oh, for yeah, so y'all were basically newlyweds, and you were his angel, to take care of him. Pamela says, sending my deepest condolences to you, young lady. God got you. You're stronger than you think. Better days are coming ahead. Hugs.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so thank you so much. Teacher Chronicle say, he enjoyed your story, great story. And, after all is said and done, what are your hopes and dreams? Do you think you're going through this for just because, or you think you've been put on this earth and you've been going through this for a purpose? And what do you think that purpose could be, if you think?
Um, I think my purpose is just to help somebody. I don't know
Okay.
what it is. Um, I don't know. I shared a story with you earlier, but
Mhm.
I really feel that God has me wanting to be a prophet,
Okay.
and I'm just scared. I'm
Yes.
scared to take that responsibility, and because there's a lot of things you know, that I'm not ready to give up in my life right now. And I just
Right.
feel like I don't want to be like, you know, if you praising God, and I do believe in God. I pray every day and every night.
Oh, you
But it's
have
certain
to. You,
things
you going.
it's just certain things that you just don't do if you're giving your full life to Christ.
Mhm.
So I'm just not ready to give that up 100%. But I feel like I am put on this earth to help people.
Right. And not just help people to be a whole. I mean, who comes up with the word prophet? I mean, when someone says they're going to be a prophet, they kind of going to be a prophet. No one
Right,
busts out and say they're going to be a prophet and don't become a prophet.
right,
So that's a big tall order, and God has definitely is pruning you, and like we talked about before, you don't have to just go full throttle. You don't have to be a total perfect being to fulfill your purpose. You can just start off. I mean, I totally get what you're saying. Some things you're just not ready to shed away, yada yada yada. But that purpose ain't gonna go away, especially when God has put so much on you.
right,
That means the blessing's gonna be like 20 million times fold. I mean,
right.
I mean, so what? like what is your mindset to stay so strong and resilient? Like share with us like how, how do you keep it up? How do you keep going? It's just amazing to me.
It's my kids,
Yes.
and then it's my grandbaby. My
Yes.
grandbaby, she's battling leukemia.
Oh,
S- So I need to, I want to see her grow. I want to, because
yes.
she's a handful. She's like the most beautiful girl on
Yeah.
this earth to me, and she's so smart to be the age of 3. And
Yeah.
I know she's gonna do whatever she decided to do when she becomes a teenager or as an adult. I really think that she's gonna be successful, and I want to be here to see it.
Right. So, what are your hopes and your dreams? You said to be a prophet and to see your babies grow up, your grandchild. So, how is she doing with the leukemia? So,
She's actually doing pretty good.
okay.
The the worst part has already, over. We
Yeah.
already dealt with that. But it was really, really, really bad when we found out, and it was like we it was nothing to show us that she had it,
Yeah.
until she had a fall, and then I just noticed that she wasn't very active, she wasn't eating, or she wasn't
Mhm.
doing it, she wasn't herself.
Okay.
And then I had my daughter took her to the hospital, and they found out that she had it. She had all this long, curly, beautiful hair. She
Mhm.
lost all her hair. She had to pour it in her chest. Um, but she's really, really doing good. Her body is accepting the chemo and things like that. So I'm happy about that.
Okay. And do you have any prophecy? Someone asked, they want to know, do you like, you say you're going to be a prophet, which you will be. Do you ever prophesize anything? Is it things that you see in the future that actually come to pass? To show your gift or like what?
Yeah, I have had seen things, and I have let people know what I have seen, and they were like, "Oh yeah, right, Luana, yeah, okay, whatever." And then when it happened, they called me and they was like, "Oh, you were right." And before my husband passed, I had this lady to come over. Well, actually, my god sister had her to come over to the house, and she prayed for us, and we were holding hands.
Mhm.
And when she was praying, she was saying, whatever she was saying, and then she had just stopped, and she was squeezing my hand. She had stopped, and she said, "What do you see, or like, what are you scared of?" And I told her, like we were talking, but we wasn't talking.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
just through the handshake, like the
Yeah.
hand
Yeah.
squeeze.
Mhm.
And so at the end, she was like, "What are you scared of?" And I said, I'm scared of failing. That's
Mhm.
what it is. I'm scared of failing." And she said, "You don't." And then she's like, "Do you feel him?" And I said, "Yeah, he's right here on the right side of me." And she
Right.
was like, "Wow." And then my god sister was like, "You never told me this." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't tell people. I don't think that's something that
Right.
you advertise, but yeah, I do see things."
Right, yeah, you don't wanna spook people out, and it's such
Right.
and it's such a deep thing, no one's really gonna understand unless they've gone through the pain and the hurt and the trauma that you've gone through to get it
Right.
right off the bat, otherwise you have to kinda talk them into understanding what you even halfway coming from, you know?
Right.
Wow. So what are your hopes and dreams? Like, like what do you want for LaWan? I know you want to see your grandbaby. I mean, but what would make you happy? You deserve such a and you're so young, so you're going to have it, but you deserve such a happy. Like what would make LaWanna happy?
I believe what would make me happy is just peace,
Mm,
seeing my twins be able to live on their own,
mhm,
seeing my other adult kids, prosper,
mhm.
and just being happy. That's the main thing.
Right.
I don't ask for much
You
at
don't.
all.
You're so easy going.
I am.
And what gives you the strength before we head out? What gives you the strength to share your story? You shared your story with the Washington Post, and we're gonna put a link in the description so y'all can share, be able to read that post that she did. What gives you the strength? Because it's not easy to talk about all the hurt, but it is very therapeutic. It can be. But what gives you the strength to be that voice so people can know that we all gone through stuff and some of us gone through more than others, but you got to keep going and you got to be strong for the others. What makes you promote that message?
I just felt like it had to be told because, again, our stories are not told, and they're
No.
swept under the rug.
Yes.
And so I felt like if this was my opportunity to get it out there, then by all means, I'm going to do it.
Right. So y'all please support Lawana. She's a beautiful person. She's gone through so much, but she is still smiling. She still wants to be Lawana. She's still hot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no matter what, she's still putting that best foot forward. And she have the twins that she looks after. She has a grandbaby. She's just a mom. She's a mom. She's a woman. And we all need support. So please, she doesn't have a cash app, but just show love, send it to me and I would definitely give all the proceeds to her. So y'all please send a cash app to me and then to support her and her story. And then, just to show love. It's not about the money, it's just about the love. So just please do that and that would just be amazing. But I want to thank Natalia Harris for thank you for being here. Thank you. Uh, Pamela said, "My middle and my baby daughters do. I believe you, dear." And I believe she's talking about having the spirit of prophecy. So she says she believes it. Natalia says, "Prayers to you and your family."
Thank you.
Um, she says, God got bigger plans for you, young lady. See, people can see it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions or anything for her? And I want to, while we wait for questions to come in, I just want to thank you for taking the time. You have been very gracious with me. We had a beautiful conversation. And and like you said, I asked you if have you done therapy, had a chance. You was like, no, but when you tried to, you end up giving them therapy instead of them giving
Yeah.
you therapy, and I had to catch myself because I was busy dumping my stuff on you too. I was like, listen, Lawana, that's just what it is with you, okay? But Lawana needs love and support too. But if you talk to her, you would end up just telling her all your business, and she would make you feel so comfortable. So you are definitely in God's graces, and you're really going to be something amazing. So I
Thank you.
appreciate you so much. And I want to appreciate everyone for checking Lawana out. Thank y'all for checking Emmanuel on the prior show. And any last words or anything, hon?
No, God bless.
All right. God bless. And God bless y'all. And y'all take care. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.